Okay, so today we are digging into Taurus energy. Very exciting. So hopefully you all saw the Taurus post that I made when we had the sun enter Taurus. It told the story from the Taurus perspective of the 12 children of God. So I'm not going to read that in this class. You can go check out that post if you want to see the story. But Taurus, so Taurus is interesting. Taurus is traditionally ruled by Venus energy. So we'll dig into Venus today. Taurus rules the second house. So that means Venus, Taurus, and the second house, they all have very similar qualities. And if you can understand one of them, then you have a really good understanding of the others. The other thing that happens, and this is not necessarily something every astrologer believes, but I do know several that do connect into this lesson. I do believe that Earth energy is one of the Taurus rulers. So we're going to talk a little bit about Earth. And it's interesting because if you look at your chart, most charts are not going to show you Earth's energy on there, but I'm going to teach you a handy dandy trick so you can find where Earth is in your chart. So we jump from Aries, the first sign, into Taurus, the second sign. So Aries gives us our identity, and then Taurus comes along and gives us our talents, our value. We start valuing both our identity and our talents. Oh, Patty asked how to get me on screen. I should be pinned. If you click on my video, on my face up there, you'll pin me. You'll see me. So just click on my my screen, my square. All right, so Taurus, we jump into values, our talents, to take it from the place of identity. So Taurus, just a reminder, don't worry if you don't know these things yet. We're going to be doing another astro vocab session in our next class. Taurus is an earth sign. I would say earth sign, one of the best ways to think of earth signs is grounded or planted. Earthy, right? It is a fixed sign, and again, that has that kind of grounded, planted feeling. So Taurus has that double, which is why Taurus probably has that reputation out of the earth signs as being very stubborn, very fixed, very hard to move. Taurus is ruled, like I said, by Venus energy. Also, I connect it to the earth energy. Its opposite sign, which we'll dig into one week, not going to get into it so much today, is Scorpio. And when you have a sign that's in direct opposition, they're polar partners. They work together. They're polarities. So they have very similar energies, but kind of also bring the opposition. So just something to know. Taurus, age-wise, rules the years 7 to 14. When you're beginning to, like, okay, you know who you are by that time, but you're beginning to develop your possessions. Sharing may become a thing. You're like, I don't want to share my dolls. This is mine. Let's see. Where am I going here? All these things that I have written down. I would say let's look at a few more things. The dates of Taurus, roughly. Now remember, it changes year to year, especially leap year will change these things. It is roughly April 20th to May 20th, 21st. Sometimes it's May 21st, sometimes it's April 21st, sometimes it's April 19th. It shifts a little. So for whatever year, this is why astro charts are so good, because if you meet somebody who's on April 20th, my brother-in-law is actually April 20th. And I derive great glee in telling him that he shares a birthday with Hitler. You know, because he doesn't know his birth time, he actually could be Aries or Taurus on that day. He's definitely a Taurus. But it's just good to note when something's on the cusp. You know, don't necessarily assume it's one sign or the other. Always go check the chart out. It rules the neck. Taurus rules the neck. So it rules the thyroid, it rules the throat. It's interesting because if you look up what chakra Taurus rules, You would think because it rules the throat that maybe it would be the throat chakra, or you would think because of its kind of sensual nature, creative nature, it could rule the sacral chakra, um, which I think both connect in. But according to most sources online, Taurus rules the heart chakra, and that may be because of the essence of love. In my astrological knowledge, I would probably go to the sacral chakra. And here's an interesting thing. A very interesting thing that I just learned this week. I was watching a video on the sacral chakra in a chronic healing forum. And one of the things they said that when your sacral chakra is not balanced, that your throat chakra is also usually affected because they are so connected. And that again, like that connects to me with that Taurus energy. Here's another really interesting thing just in alignment with that. Oh, Joe, I wish you had the picture. Joe, he had a picture of his chakras taken, and his sacral chakra is like completely offline, and his throat chakra could be better. But he has Chiron, the wounded healer, in Taurus. And so it's interesting that those wounds show up there, which just in my head as I'm doing like the Mimi astrological math, I'm like, see, it makes so much sense. So for me, for our purposes, I'm going to say Taurus really does strongly connect with the sacral chakra. But with any sign, I see multiple chakras and how they feed in. So, and Maria said it makes sense too, because the sacral is aligned to 17 to 14-year-olds as well. See, it makes a lot of sense. Color. Somebody asked, I think it was Phyllis, asked about color in regards to the sign. And this is another place. So if you guys get the Cosmic Navigator, which is the book that I recommend, funny enough, the color that they have representing Taurus is like orange, red, orange. If you look online, you'll find people saying brown. You will find people saying pink. You will find people saying green, depending on what level of Taurus that connects into. So, you do have your sacral picture. Oh, show and tell. Yay. So this was years ago that his aura was taken. So root chakra right there, and you'll see like no sacral chakra and a very, very, very faint throat chakra happening right there, but like no to the sacral chakra. Chiron and Taurus. Just fascinating. Look at his crown. Like, hello, psychic. So anyway, when it comes to colors, when it comes to these things, tune into what you feel, but like let these things all feed into you. Like I feel like they all connect in. I decided to make the Taurus post green because I really do connect that earth nature energy to Taurus, and I didn't think that making it brown would be very easy for you guys to see. So, but I was also thinking about this. I'm like, man, if you mix like the green and you mix the orange color, I'm like, then you come up with brown, which is so earth energy. So again, in my head, I was putting it all together and making sense. Let's see. The phrases. I said this last week in class, that there are multiple phrases that can go with the Taurus energy, and it's going to depend which book you read, which astrologer you talk to. The phrase in Cosmic Navigator, I believe, is I have. I worked for Soul Garden for many, many years. The phrase that they used for Taurus energy is I manifest, which is very real. But I feel like the highest, best phrase for Taurus that encompasses that energy is the energy of I value. I think working with the energy of worth and value with Taurus is where we can really utilize it on its highest level. But just realize the I have and the I manifest, they're right along there with it. Finally, Taurus is also ruled by the energy of the bull. So there's many different energies of the bull. You can have the cow, the lazy cow in the pasture, or you can have the bull in the china shop, or you can have the bull that's like, I see red. So awareness of bull energy. That being said, let's dig into the keywords, and then we'll try to dig through my lower, middle, upper. I can't tell you how hard it is for me between my Libra and my Sagittarius and my chart. When I'm like writing out these things, I'm like, this is the lower thing of this. This is the middle. My Libra and Sagittarius, I'm like, this could be the high vibration because of this. This could be a low vibration because of this. So in all of it, take it with a grain of sand. I know there's different octaves of all of these things. So keywords, overall keywords for Taurus energy. Down to earth. Resources. I think that's a really important one, especially in connected to the earth energy of Taurus. Resources. Income, stability, production, driven, tenacious, stubborn, sensual, creative, stability, fleshy, earthy, pleasure, Mother Nature, Mother Natural.
Didn't you say one of the downfall of Taurus is too much pleasure?
Yeah, too much pleasure can be a downfall of the Taurian and or Venus energy, yes. Which we'll dig into. Talents, value, worth, presence, and being. Patience is another word I have in here. Practical, another one as well. I think I put them all. So those are some key words that connect in with the Taurus energy. All right, so that being said, let's dig into the lower version of it. Now, again, take it with a grain of salt, and realize that I am taking it with a grain of salt too as I say these things. And all of us may resemble some of these energies. We all have Taurus in there, and we all trapeze through the levels. So, oh man, I forgot I was going to set this aside. So as I was going through the levels of Taurus, and I was thinking about like, how can I best describe these 3 levels of Taurus? I was like, oh my God, Zorba the Buddha, because you may or may not know that Buddha was actually allegedly a Taurus. And so I have in my favorite cards that I use all the time, I have the Zorba the Buddha card, which happens to be a Pentacles card, happens to be the King of Pentacles, which is very Taurus in and of itself. And I set it out before I did my horoscope, and then I was like, wait, I might need it for my horoscope. It may come up. Anyways, this character is Zorba the Buddha. So Zorba is Zorba the Greek, who was the hedonist. He was eating all the food, drinking all the alcohol. If there was weed and drugs, all in. All the sex with, all the genders, that's Zorba the Greek. Then there's the Buddha energy. It's like, oh, I put aside my fleshy nature and I connect to spirit. So we have that Buddha energy. And then my feeling is the upper level of Taurus is embracing them both, which is this card, the abundance card, Zorba the Buddha. So Zorba the Buddha. Anyway, so think lower level Zorba. And again, no shame on hedonists, because we all need time to be in that energy, and we are here on earth to experience it. So no hating on that. Just it's that awareness that and that it can be addiction. So that's one of the levels of the lower levels of that Taurus energy. Addiction. This is because Taurus is so connected to sensual energy. Taurus really represents our connection in our human body to the five earthly senses: touch, smell, taste. What are the other ones? Brain fart. Touch, smell, taste. What else is there?
Olfactory,
smell. What's
visual.
Visual, seeing, sight. Thank you. Good job, Jojo. So we can get addicted to those senses. We can get overwhelmed in sensual experience. And again, this connects to the earth energy. It's like wanting to experience the things on this planet to such an extreme level. Lower energy of Taurus can be very materialistic. Taurus is connected to money. So another word that connects to Taurus at times is the word greed. You can become greedy in an off balance Taurus energy. Um, and that greed may be in order to fulfill the sensual need. So, let's see, stubborn, stuck, even. One of the great things, if you feel stuck, check out where you have Taurus in your chart. Check out where you may have Venus in your chart. Check out that energy, because a lot of times that stuckness can be connected to that. Blunt. Here's a funny thing. So Sagittarius has the reputation for being blunt. However, I think that it's probably been Tauruses who may make my hair stand on end with bluntness at times. One of the things that Joe, he's actually really good at observing signs. And that's one of the things that he has observed about Taurus, is that they really observe. And Taurus is not afraid to let that observation fly.
Put people in their place.
Yeah, Taurus will put a person in their place. I mean, they are the other side of Scorpio, so would you expect anything less? No. Right? Let's see. Connecting worth to material, to what you have. Our worth is never connected to what we have, although that is something that we do on this planet sometimes. So, that awareness. Taurus can be very resistant to change. It's part of the stuck energy. Indulgent, that again connects to the addiction to the senses. Again, this might be more middle path. I'm gonna take this middle path, so I'm gonna hold up on that. I'm gonna give you that in one more second. Possessive. Taurus can be so possessive, and that's the part that's like, I have these things, these are mine, I don't want to share. We all get that way at times. Our inner, 7-year-old is like, no, don't make me. So awareness of that. Oh, that's so funny. Lazy energy, which again might be middle path a little bit, but lazy when it's like you're not listening to that part of yourself that needs to move. Lazy in the stuck sense, I guess. All right, so those I would say are the lower side. Middle I actually equated with the Buddha, and I equated with the Buddha because, well, I think that is a very high path. I do feel like we came on this earth to find that balance, and I think we all have to go through that time and that lifetime where we do take those steps to be in that enlightened zone. But and I wish I could find that post. If I can find that post, I will post it up in the room. But it was basically, somebody posted probably a few weeks ago, like, Buddha, you learned your lessons, now go home to your wife. And I was like, there were so many like, yes. So the middle path, I put it as Buddha. That might be the highest path, especially if that is your path. But if your path is not to be, monk sitting on the mountain, if it is to be integrated, then that's the middle path. Middle path, what I was thinking earlier. Middle path, Taurus, is so treat yourself. Good or bad, I don't know. We all need a little treat yourself in our life, but sometimes we go a little bit overboard. The middle path of Taurus, observing energy. There we have that again. Observing, let's see, senses, sensual experience in moderation. We came being sensual beings. We are meant to experience the senses. So it's like allowing that sensuality in our lives, but not going overboard with it. Foodie energy. So many Tauruses are foodies. Good or bad, I don't know. It could go either way. The joy of experimenting, the joy of experiencing, and yet going overboard, that gluttonous behavior. So it really could go overboard, or either way. The spiritualist. I have an interesting list of Tauruses with quite a few spiritual people listed on there. And there can be that balance, but there can also be that overboard. And I wonder if that overboard has to do with like producing. Or the worth key. Like, I have to show you how good I am. My worth is connected to me being so spiritual. So again, it can go either way. Productivity. Productivity is a wonderful thing. And yet, one, it's the basis for our worth. It goes more one direction. Um, if we go overboard with it. But if we're producing based on our creativity, based on our talents, that energy, that's a beautiful thing. That's a very high vibrational energy. Um, let's see. What else do I have? Loyalty. Taurus is such a loyal thing. I was thinking, I have a cousin. She's a Taurus. And I was curious. I was thinking about her relationship. She's been with this Cancer guy for like really, really long time. And I was like, in my head, are they happy? I don't really know them, so I don't really know. And I was like, well, I guess it doesn't really matter at this point. Between him being a Cancer and her being a Taurus, they are like in it. They are like together. And so Taurus can be like that. Again, it can be very loyal. It can be a wonderful thing. It can also be that stuck energy. You just want to be aware of these things in the middle way. Taurus is slow. Lisa said, all the Taurus people in my life move at one speed. Taurus is generally pretty slow unless you like light a fire under the bowl and then you can't stop the bowl. You know, that's when they get into like production mode. But Taurus in general, slow and steady wins the race. Luxury is one of the words that I put in the middle. Again, no shame in enjoying and indulging in things that make your life feel good. But it's like when we get indulgent with the luxury, when it becomes, this is my worth. Let me show you how important I am because I have this much gold. It can go either way. Manifester is one of the words that I put on the middle level of Taurus. So Taurus, oh my God, the Tauruses I know, it's amazing how good they are at manifesting. Now I have something to say about manifesting energy because I think we came in here with different levels or different lessons. I think there are some people who are here to learn the art of manifesting. And they're really meant to be manifesting in their lives, and like that's their lesson. And I think that there's other people who are here to maybe not manifest as much, like it's power that they have, but rather, like Tosha Silver talks about, rather allow what God's spirit universe wants to bring in our life. So manifestation, that's a really strong, powerful thing for some people, and for others, that's not a pit to fall into. So it's good to be aware. Where are you on that? For me, spirit wants to like direct me, but I get a little manifestation privilege. Security, another word for that Taurus energy. Taurus, that earth sign, wants to feel secure. Sometimes in feeling secure, we can get ourselves stuck. But also, you know, I think it's good to feel stable. I think security and stability kind of go hand in hand. Yes. All right. So the upper level Taurus, like I said, Zorba the Buddha, finding a way to bring heaven onto earth, melding the spiritual with the physical. Abundance. I think abundance is a beautiful word that connects in with the high level of Taurus, because I think abundance is connected to what we find worth in, what we value. And abundance has to do more than just money. It is friendship, and it is love, and it is beauty in our lives. So I think abundance is a really good word to connect into the high level Taurus energy, abundance minded. Nature connected. If there's a sign that like I feel like needs to be outside, and I think like 99% of the Tauruses that I know are like outdoors enthusiasts, like hiking, going camping, all that stuff. Taurus really does need to connect into that nature energy. And I really do connect that with the earth energy that I do connect into Taurus. Get a Taurus out in nature, and a lot of times they will reset themselves. And that's true for all of us, because we're all nature to some extent. Creativity. Taurus is the place where our talents lie in our chart. So we have this inherent creativity, which again connects into that sacral chakra energy, by the way. Um, so yeah, creative energy, valuing others, um, knowing the worth and the value of being, being, being able to be rather than like I must produce for my worth, whatever. Allowing yourself to be. Very high level of Taurus. And I have a few quotes. I believe they're both from Jan Spiller, who is an astrologer. Um, Two of these quotes that I think really epitomize the energy of Taurus. Uh, you revitalize your worth as you recognize the worth of others. So that's one of them. You revitalize your worth as you recognize the worth of others. And the other one is consciousness of your value and the value of others blah, 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 sorry. The consciousness of your value and the value of others expands material security in the world. So these are just, some quotes that really edify the energy of Taurus. The other thing that popped up for me, a few things. So many things were coming through today when I was like exploring Taurus. JP Morgan Chase. So, he's like a famous billionaire. He is not a Taurus. Although, was it his North Node in Taurus? Yeah, his North Node is in Taurus. He has a quote, and he would say, what was it? Millionaires don't practice astrology, billionaires practice astrology. Just an interesting thing. He popped into my mind, and then also, which I posted in the room, Madonna's Material Girl kept coming through as actually Madonna really, a few of her songs, I could have kept posting her songs. I'm like, oh my God, I see the Taurus in here. I see the Taurus in here. And I posted, I think her Mars is in Taurus, so her action energy is in Taurus, and her North Node is in the second house, which we're going to dig into. But she's definitely representing that Taurus vibration in many of her songs. Is there anything else? No. I'm looking to see if there's anything else Taurus that I want to bring forth right now. Do you guys have any questions so far about Taurus energy? We're good? Okay. Just looking. I start out so organized, and then I just start going all over the place with my notes. So oh yeah, I'm going to bring this here. So this is an interesting thing that I observed early on in my astrological studies in this lifetime, which means I probably did it in another lifetime. I can always see pieces of the neighboring signs in a sign. So Aries, for instance, Aries has that drive. And like I mentioned, Taurus, especially when it comes to that production energy, like I must produce, I must bring these things forward. Taurus can have that same drive. So it's like noticing our neighboring essences and how they feed it. And it happens with every sign. So you may notice other essences coming from neighboring signs, but that's from the Aries side. Even though we haven't looked at Gemini yet, I would say this observational thing that we've been talking about with Taurus, how Taurus can observe. I think that some of the Gemini side feeding in Taurus is also, I would say Taurus. It's funny, Taurus and, let me say this. Gemini is known for being witty, but the funniest people I know in my life often are not necessarily the Geminis. They are the signs around the Gemini, the Tauruses and the Cancers. Oh my God, they are so funny. So they kind of leech a little bit from that Gemini energy. But that's something that you may possibly notice where these signs pick up a little bit. And this is without being cuspy. This is, all the way through the sign. So there is that. Any questions? Okay, we're going to dig into Venus in a second. You have something to say, Joe?
He's saying that the neighbors have the dogs.
Oy. Go get the dogs. Or just tell him to tell the neighbors to go, tell the dogs to go home. Dogs know how to get home. Or you can go out and get them. Doggy drama. Sorry. God, those dogs. Go get them, I think. Or go call them. They'll come for you in your whistle. Okay. So we are gonna dig into Venus energy. Oh, and this is another thing that's so interesting to me. So Venus, in other mythology, Venus is the same as Aphrodite. And just keep that in the back of your mind because at the end of Venus, I'm going to bring something. So Venus connects into pleasure and sensuality. Venus is that yin energy. So we talked about the moon being yin consciousness, but this is like the embodied yin energy. That being said, um, what was I going to say? Taurus. Taurus is what's known as a feminine sign. Some signs do seem very yin to me, and some signs I do see the yin and the yang in. I see the yin in Taurus. There's definitely the yin. I also see a lot of the yang in Taurus energy. So I don't look at it as completely, holy moly. Oh gosh, you guys, this is Animal House. There's a lizard up in the corner. I don't know if any of you saw. I posted yesterday that there was like a lizard in our bedroom. Well, the lizard in the bedroom just decided to show itself, and it's right up there over my head. So, anyways, now I'm gonna be worried about lizard coming and running on me. It's okay. It's a blessing. I just don't want it on me. It's a little bit creepy. They're cute, but I like to look at them, not whatever. It'll be what it'll be. Anyway, I do not like to look at Taurus energy as exclusively yin, because I see so much of the yang energy. And so, something to keep in mind. Traditionally, it is known as a feminine sign, but if you think about it, like the need to produce, that can be a very masculine driving force in it. The pleasure side, allowing pleasure is very yin, but like again, going and seeking your pleasure, that can be very yang energy. So just keep these things in mind. Anyway, Venus, back to Venus. Pleasure, sensuality, love, creativity, worth. Worth is a very big keyword for Venus. Yin, it is the yin embodied yin energy. So where we have Venus in our charts, we really do want to utilize the yinishness of that sign, of the place in the chart. Venus is how we can receive. Venus is also how we attract. Venus can represent in our chart beauty. We can look very much like our Venus sign. Well, especially the yin can look like Venus. But I see Joe's Venus in him, so either can. Venus represents our self-esteem, our inner harmony state, inherited gifts, as in our creativity, what we're meant to like bring forth and produce in our life, these things that are within us. Venus in your chart is your key to knowing and working with your self-worth, with your self-esteem. Venus can be that indulgent energy. Again, treat yourself was written there. Venus is all about treating yourself within balance. This is a good place to note. Some planets rule multiple signs. Venus rules Libra as well as the Taurus energy. So you're going to find some overlapping themes in there, like that balance energy. Venus is attraction energy. Venus is what rules our affection. My Venus is in Scorpio, so I laugh at some of these things as I imagine my Venus, which is fun. Yay. Yay, Scorpio. Venus can represent our finances, significant relationships. Venus, looking at Venus in the chart, significant relationships. That is a very cute puppy right there. I love all the animals hanging out today. Venus can represent what you're attracted to, your reaction to the sensual. So where your Venus is may be how you react to the senses, like the five senses in the world. Venus represents your views on finance. Venus can represent your views on art. Venus can represent your tendencies in relationship. Again, I laugh as I have my Venus in Scorpio. Venus, in some astro, Venus represents marriage. I look at the asteroid Juno more so for marriage information. Venus to me is more about overlying relationships. But some people look at it for marriage information, and it can be a piece of it, but it feels broader to me than that. Venus does, however, represent significant relationships in our life. Artistic ability. I think I brought forth all the Venus energy. So you can see, it really does work very strongly with this Taurus energy. I would say some key words for Venus are beauty, worth, relationship, creativity, value, attraction. I would say those are the keywords. Now here's a really interesting thing. So Venus, Aphrodite, same thing. I have a little story, which I'll tell you guys. So I was in a meditation process a really long time ago. It said, you're one of the seven sisters, and you're here to gather your sisters. You're one of the seven sisters of the Pleiades. You're here to gather your sisters. And I was like, I don't know what that means, but okay. Few years down the line, I was doing a different guided meditation where your mother was supposed to show up, and my mother did not show up. Aphrodite showed up, and it was like this joyous reunion, and I was like, oh my god, I didn't even really care about Aphrodite. I didn't really know that there was this connection, and I didn't connect the two of them. Little on down the line, I was doing fixed star astrology work. So there's a form of astrology that looks at fixed stars and where they form in your chart, and my setting star was one of the stars of the Pleiades, and I was like, oh my god, that thing, I'm one of the seven sisters of the Pleiades, and I have to gather my sisters. Okay, what does this mean? Like, further research showed me that Aphrodite was, in some mythology, the mother of the seven sisters, and I was like, oh my god, this thing connects in. Now what's interesting is that the Pleiades, where it is in the constellation of Taurus. So that energy, that Venus energy, that Palladian energy, it connects into that Taurus energy. And that's actually the Pleiades. That's what this tattoo is those things. I also, as I was doing some research today on Taurus, it was talking about how Earth and our sun and the solar system is actually part of the seven sisters of the Pleiades. So just a little interesting side note, if you are connected, you feel connected to that Palladian energy at all, this may be a place where you can explore that a little bit more. But that's that Venus Aphrodite split. There, Molly. Oh god, the lizard. It's right over my head. I have this funny thing that I am so Little Miss Muffet in my life. I can't tell you how many times I will be in the shower or in bed, and I will watch the spider walk across like the entire ceiling and get over me and be like, oh yes, you feel nice. Hello, I'm coming in for a landing. So I'm like, please, lizard, do not Miss Muffet me today. I don't want to play the part of Miss Muffet. And then we'll have what is it? Hunger Games, kitty lizard style happening in here. All right, so Earth energy. I posted on that little thing that I made the Earth symbol. You can see it here. It's like basically the little cross inside the circle. Earth is not to be mixed up with a lot of charts. You will see your part of fortune, which is actually an X inside of the circle versus the cross inside of the circle. So if you see that and you're like, that looks a little different, but maybe that's my earth. It's not. So if everybody wants to know how to find your earth in the chart, earth is directly 180 degrees opposite of your sun sign. So if you are an Aries, your earth is in Libra. If you are a Taurus, your earth is in Scorpio. If you are, well, so on. I'm not going to go through all of them. I did post that thing that had the little sheet that had the opposites, so you can look and see, like, okay, I have a Sagittarius, my earth is in Gemini. It's an interesting thing to note. Heliocentric astrology, which is sun-centered astrology, they do utilize Earth in the charts. Western astrology, which is what we're learning right here, it doesn't utilize it, and yet it has information for you. And I think it's like one of those reasons why, like, knowing your polar partner, knowing your polarity is important, because it does play a part in your experience. I think Earth as a planet, it's where we experience like more the fleshy side of that Taurus energy. The the earth sensual side of things, like, I came to Earth to experience these things. In heliocentric astrology, Earth represents the body, which I usually look at Virgo energy in Western astrology, but it's an interesting thing to connect that to your opposite sign. Does your body fit into that description or those energies as your opposite sign? Something to look into if you are a curious person. It can represent your personal evolution. It can represent symbiosis, or how you kind of like absorb, sync up with what's going on. It represents children too, which is really interesting. And I can't really connect in with that. I'm just bringing you that information because that hasn't connected yet for me, but it's part of the information. Allegedly, again, I don't really resonate with this, but this is what I learned. In heliocentric astrology, Earth rules the sign of Sagittarius. So there we go. And I guess Sagittarius can be quite an indulger. So, oh, Sasha just said my opposite sign is Sagittarius, which is her daughter sign. Yeah, you're going to find those polarities, they run strong. And as we go down the class, I have so much to say about all of that. Speaking of earth energies and connected into that Taurus, like I mentioned, Buddha was allegedly a Taurus. And in the moment that he became enlightened, he had touched the earth. And so there is like that connection again to that earth energy. And I really feel like Taurus, to put it in song, Aries is so busy, like being like in the world. Aries doesn't necessarily connect into spirit, but Taurus is like, oh wait, this is part of my creativity. This is part of my gifts. We are spirits in a material world. So is one of the other things. Earth energy can also represent our manifestation ability, our fertility, our practicality, and our earthly mission. So interesting with the earth energy. Now, like I said, not all astrologers connect Earth with Taurus. I worked for Soul Garden for a long time for Christopher Techie, who happens to be a Taurus, and he connected with it, and it just makes so much sense to me. I feel it. So it's something that I really believe and bring forward, but you're not going to find it everywhere. And if you say that to some people, they'll be like, no, you're not wrong. It's just one of the things that I really experience, and it edifies when I do readings for people. So that's where I go from. Does anybody have any questions about Venus or Earth or anything? I like what Lisa said. I think some of our past life signs are carried within us too, and leeches into them as their soul evolves. Absolutely. What One of the things I found, so there are some astrologers who believe that we take our north and south nodes from every life and we keep them. I do not believe that. However, I do believe we have polarity processes that we work over and over and over again. I'm really lucky to actually know the chart of my last lifetime on this earth. And I'll tell you, she worked the Sagittarius Gemini polarity. And I have my sun in Sagittarius and in my Gemini is my rising and my earth too. So I have that polarity worked really strong. That was her north node and her south node in the last lifetime. So we have these polarities. If you have a polarity in your chart, chances are you worked that polarity in a last lifetime and it's part of your process, which we'll dig into later. But I do think, and again, having seen, there's a few people who I know their past lives, or whether it's their past life or it's like a strong lesson, there are mimicking lessons. So it's there. It's amazing. It's incredible. And astrology is one of those ways that you can open up and be like, okay, I got the lower level of that. I got the lower level in that lifetime. Let's see if we can bump it up one more notch this lifetime. Let's just go for the middle ground. So there we go. All right, so let's dig into the houses. So since you now have, hopefully, a decent grasp on Taurus and on this Venus energy and on this Earth energy, you can hopefully connect into second house and what it's about. Second house governs worth, money, finances, our gifts and talents. Second house, if you are having issues around money, if you're having issues around worth, that's where you want to look. Okay, what planets do I have there? What planet is moving through there right now? It represents what you value, stuff-wise, material-wise, and within yourself. Second house can govern how you deal with money, your assets, your budget. I don't know what, oh, belongings. I was like, belonging. No, that's not second house. That's 11th house. Your belongings. And S makes all the difference there. Your self-worth. Big, 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 big piece. And the self-worth really is corresponded to making money. I mean, I will just say for myself, I struggled with worth for so long, and I was like, I know I'm awesome. I love myself. I'm so cool. Like, I know that. I like me even. And yet there was like this pit within me that was like draining my worth constantly. And it was like the same thing with my money, like money in, money out immediately. And I was like, yeah, can I just hold on to a little bit so I can pay my bills and pay my rent? And it's like, okay, but it has to go to this and this and this and this. And it was out of control. And it wasn't until I tied into my my superhero Atlantis, like I must save Atlantis, and realized that I still was carrying worth issues from that I was able to shift that, and my money situation shifted. So if you struggle with money, check in with your second house. Check in with anything you have in Taurus. I know there's a nice group of people in this room who has Chiron in Taurus, which maybe we'll talk about just a little bit. Chiron and Taurus, wounds around Taurus issues. So there may be wounds around worth. There may be wounds around money. Cat crossing. No, don't hit the button. Sorry. Animal house. Am I good? Is everything still recording? Okay. Just making sure he hit buttons. If you are having issues around that, check on your second house. Check on anything ruled by Taurus. Second house rules your connection to the earth. If you need help with your word stuff, going outside in nature, remembering nature, remembering yourself as being, connected on this earthly realm at this time can really help that. Second house is how you direct your talents into money. We all came with gifts and talents. And the place where Taurus is like, get these talents out there. You are meant to bring them forth, and they can help fund, fuel your abundance. Taurus, second house can represent your income and expenses, your flow of wealth. So, like I said, for me, I had that worth hole and it was like going through like a waterfall. um, Second house can show you your desires of what you would like to possess. Second house can show you about your lessons in manifestation. So, like I said, some of us, I believe, are really here to be like, I can manifest that, I can manifest that, I can manifest that. And I think others are meant to be like, okay, spirit, show me what my path is. And some of us are somewhere in the middle of that, and that's cool too. Um, Second house can also represent your relationship with food and eating. So that is the overall second house energy. So remember, let me make sure I get this right. The planet is the what? It is the action. So the planet in this case is that Venus energy or the Earth energy. The sign is the how. So how we go about that. And then the house is where, in our experience, this energy plays out. So do we have any questions about anything that we went over? The house, second house, Earth energy, Venus energy, Taurus energy. I have no Taurus in my chart. That's not true. We all have everything in the chart. So Taurus, it exists in a house in your chart. Lisa, I know you've got Scorpio in there. So Taurus for you would be 7th house via your Scorpio. So there's some Taurus. We all connect in with Taurus as well if we connect into our Earth sign. So again, are you a Scorpio, Lisa? I know you have Scorpio, but are you a Scorpio? I can't remember what your sun sign is. Yes, Scorpio? So if you are a Scorpio, that means your Earth sign is in Taurus. So yeah, see? So you do have Taurus in your chart. Also Venus. Venus represents that Taurine energy. It can also represent Libra energy, but Venus represents the Taurine energy. You have a second house in your chart. So second house represents the Taurus too. So we all carry the archetype. It may not be lit up with a planet, but that doesn't mean that that archetype doesn't exist. It may mean, so here's how I look at planets and signs. When we have a planet in the sign, we have a specific lesson related to that. It's like we came to fulfill this lesson. If you don't have a planet in that house or in that sign, then it's like that lesson's mellow for you. It's not something that you really need to worry about. Like it is still there, but it's not really something that you have to like, oh my God, I must work this Taurus energy. So, you know, for you, I would say don't worry about Taurus, but check out your second house. Here's another thing I want to say, and we're probably going to dig into this next time. The next class, we're going to dig into aspects and some astro vocab and probably dig into a little bit of what I'm going to say now. One of the best things you can remember when you're looking at the chart is that there's two perspectives to look at it from. There is the rising sign perspective, which is how you see the chart. So the rising sign starts at first house, and then the next one is the second house. There's things falling from the sky. It was not a lizard, but something just fell from the sky. I swear I'm Little Miss Muppet. Do you see the lizard? Is it where the lizard fell? I'm good. Okay, so looking from the rising sign is one thing, but in order to get your full experience of what's going on in your chart, look from your rising sign and also look from your sun sign, which means you have a second house related to your rising sign, and unless your rising sign is the same as your sun sign, you have a rising sign related to your sun sign. So I'm going to put, probably tonight, if I don't get it all up, I'll be putting it up tomorrow. I'm going to be, like I did last sign class, after the class, I put a bunch of, I don't know, lessons up there. I'm going to put in from, from each sign. So like from Aries, Taurus is the second house. I'm going to put in what your second house is. I encourage you, as your homework, to go into your chart. Look from your rising sign what your second house is. Depending on what chart, you may see more than one sign in there. That's okay. Just look at the sign that kicks it off, that starts it off. And then from your sun sign, what your second house is. Notice if you have any planets hanging out around there. Notice from what you basically know about the sign, what you experience about the second house. What that we learned about in this class connects in to that energy. And then if you're feeling really ambitious, look at the charts of some of the people that you know really well and love and see how that connects. Again, following the patterns, noticing for yourself is one of the best ways that you can understand and learn this astro. I'm going to be putting, like I said, a sheet up that has like Aries, the second house is Taurus. From Taurus, the second house is Cancer. But try and see if you can do that without looking at that first. And if you can't, that's okay too. And that, I think, is it for today. Are there any questions, comments, anything I can support you with, help you with? Do you have anything to say, Jojo? Oh, who are your superheroes, Jojo?
Who are my superheroes?
Yeah, your Taurus superheroes, because you brought it up for Aries. You said it earlier, but I forget. Oh, Master Shredder from, yeah, Master Splinter, not Shredder. Splinter and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Anybody else? You said somebody else earlier, but I can't remember. Oh, and I didn't tell you my list of celebrities. Sorry. Patty asked a question. Do you go clockwise to find the second house? No, you actually go counterclockwise. So the astro chart, this is probably one of the things we talk about. The astro chart starts on the left and it goes around this way. So it is counterclockwise. Oh yeah, famous Taurians. Interesting list that I have come up with. Fred Astaire. When I was little, I loved Fred Astaire. I think he represents the arty side. Dr. Wayne Dyer, Taurus. You know, I think he found his way into that Zorba the Buddha state. Jessica Alba. When I picture a Taurus woman, she's the Taurus woman that always pops into my mind. Adolf Hitler. He is a cusp Aries Taurus, which you can probably see both of those energies in there, but he is firmly in Taurus.
Didn't he have a Taurus moon?
I don't remember what his moon is, but he's Taurus. Freud. Speaking of being a little bit obsessed with fleshy things, Freud is a Taurus. Buddha, who we mentioned multiple times. Karl Marx, Taurus. Socrates, Taurus. John Muir, I'm probably saying his name wrong, but he has the Muir Woods here in California, and he just was a big nature proponent. Adele, Queen Elizabeth, Channing Tatum, another Taurus dancer, David Beckham, George Clooney. I have all the pretty men on this list. The Rock, Cher. Cher is a cuspy Taurus. She is on the Gemini cusp. She's in Taurus. Willie Nelson. And Mark Zuckerberg. So interesting list of Tauruses that seem to be a little bit heavy on the masculine side of things, but those are the people that popped up today. So Barbara Streisand, she is also a Taurus. She was one of the people that I saw, and I was like, okay, my list is long enough. That's enough people. Just bringing a few variations of the lower, middle, upper Taurus energies. And again, we all carry the ability to vibrate at that lower place. I mean, how many of us have eaten like 5 more pieces of pizza after we are full? Like, I think we've all done that at one point in our life, or something you really like to eat. I know that I've been in many lifetimes so embroiled in my spiritual studies that I forgot to enjoy earthly delights. And so we all want to find what our middle path is in this to vibrate the best, but no judgment for any of the resemblances on any of those levels. So yeah, check out your second houses, see what connects in. Could this be why donors become really hungry? Possibly. That's why I put a little Willie Nelson in there, but it works for him, right? Like he's prolific. He's producing I mean, he's like in his 80s and he's producing music, and the beat hasn't slowed him down one bit. So, anyways, that is it for today. If you guys have any questions about Taurus stuff, then ask that in the Taurus section of class. You can click, when you click in the group on Facebook, click on lessons, and then you can go to the first class, the second class, the third class, whatever through there. But ask your Taurus questions in that section just so we can keep it grouped together. Oh, and remember, because we pushed up the class, I'm not like pushing it, but remember, if you are on a payment plan, remember to send your next payment uh, around in the next couple days or so. Our next class, is my notebook up there? I written out, but oh no, it's down here. Our next class, we're gonna skip a week, and then our next class is gonna be Friday, May 10th, and the moon's going to be in Leo. So that'll be really fun. So take this time, explore the second houses. If you have any questions, totally feel free to ask in the room. You can even post your chart with it if you want. And yeah, besides that, thank you everybody for joining. This was fun. Have a really good rest of your Friday evening. Okay? Okay. And I'll be posting this video too in just a little bit, so you can watch it. It has to upload though and everything, so it takes a little time. All right. See you guys later.